سلام على المصطفى.
Welcome back to Urban Women with me, Razia Rangrage. It's a wonderful Wednesday morning already. The days are flying and I get so confused. It's already 30 minutes past 11. We're talking about a very important topic. So do hop onto Facebook and YouTube. Do join us live. Drop us your comments if you have, or questions if you have any. We're talking about from social media to banking apps. You know, we leave traces everywhere. So we're going to be talking about what's a practical daily routine to actually keep those traces safe. Joining us now on our screens and on the airwaves is Maulana Bilal Katrada, who is a software engineer, lecturer, author, entrepreneur, and public speaker with over 20 years of experience in technology and education. He has worked with leading institutions such as Vodacom, BlackBerry, and Durban University of Technology, UKZN, and Menkosa. Maulana Bilal is passionate about integrating technology into learning from higher education through EduCore to young learners via his own online academy, CompuKids. He's also the creator of Arithmetics, an award-winning educational app approved by the Department of Education and, subhanAllah, distributed free to KZN schools. Now, beyond his professional work, Maulana Bilal shares his expertise globally through free online coding classes on his YouTube channel. Assalamu alaikum, Maulana Bilal. Welcome back to Urban Women in Radio Al Ansar.
Wa alaikum salam. It's always a pleasure to be here, Razia.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for your time. Now, you know, we hear that everything we do online leaves digital traces. Now, share with us, what exactly does that mean?
So let me give you an analogy, right? You take a walk on the beach and you look back, you see you left some footprints. It's inevitable. Unless you're floating through the beach and you got wings, there's no way that you can't leave footprints. Now, in a similar way, we leave footprints across the websites that we visit, the apps that we visit. And those footprints are in the form of data. So data that our machines, our computers send to the receiver. So it's almost like when you log into Facebook, what exactly happens, as an example, right? What exactly happens is that your device, whatever it is, if you're logging in on a phone, a tablet, or a computer, it sends a request to the Facebook website and says, look, I am trying to connect to you. Please let me connect. So the Facebook server will ask, who are you? Where are you from? What is your location? Who is your user, etc. So it picks up all that information. It asks for that information, and our computers send that information. So far, that's pretty normal, pretty standard stuff. That's just, authorization. It's just to gather information about you. So whichever site you visit, it's sending information about you. And one of the key bits of information is known as an IP address. So an IP address is like a telephone number. So our devices, every device, every computer, even your Wi-Fi router at home has its own IP address, right? It's a number like 123.123, it's like that. Now, that IP address to us might look like a bunch of numbers, bunch of garbled numbers or random numbers, but it actually has a meaning, like your ID number has a meaning. So this is sent to the servers. Now, from that IP address, they can say with a very high degree of accuracy who you are, where you are from, what's your address, who's your internet service provider, and that sort of information. Now, this is nothing to be alarmed about because this has been there from the first days of the internet. IP addresses are being shared. But that is the kind of trace that we leave. That's one type of trace, the more invisible backend stuff. Then you've got another type of trace, which is once you are in the system, now the kind of interactions that you do there, those are also being recorded. So what are you looking for? What kind of posts appeal to you? If you are watching short form videos, which type of short form videos seem to appeal to you? So for example, if I'm looking for a new car and I go on YouTube or I go on TikTok and I start looking at cars, then immediately the system knows that I'm looking for cars. So that's the second type of trace, my preferences. So first is my background information. The second is my preferences, my usage preferences. So combine those two, and what we've got is a trail that we are leaving. So long after we've left Facebook, that data is still there on their database. It's not going away ever. It's just going to
Mhm.
be right there, and they can use that now to market to you. They can use it to advertise certain specific products. So if I'm using, for example, if I'm using TikTok to research cars, then they will use that to advertise to me, or they will potentially sell it to someone else who is interested in selling you a car, and then those people will sell you a car. So those are the two types of traces that we leave behind no matter where we go.
So you can be scrolling and you can be searching and you think, I'm going to go and delete my history, but the data is there. Okay, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And how much of our personal data is actually out there without us realizing it as well?
So a lot of our personal data. It depends on what do you regard as personal data. Also, I mean, there's different levels of personal. But if you're talking things like your name, surname, email address, that's like pretty much everywhere. Then you've
Mm.
got things like your phone number, which I don't know if you've received uh, unwanted calls from call centers that are trying to sell you everything from insurance to whatever.
Hmm.
Somehow, if you gave your phone number somewhere, those guys are reselling that data to someone else and someone else. It's illegal now in this country, but the guys are
Right.
still doing it. They're using legal loopholes. Then you've got other types of personal information, like the posts that you put on social media. So you put up posts about your family, you put out posts about yourself, pictures of the kids. You need to understand that that's the public domain. That information is out there. So we need to be careful what type of information we're posting. So all of that information is there. And remember, you can delete your history on your device. Heck, you can delete your entire device, but that information doesn't sit on your device anymore. It sits on someone else's database, and you can't delete that. So it's there
Wow.
forever.
Wow. That, it just makes us realize that we just got to be a little more conscious because there's no erasing, so to say. Let's talk about daily routines, from using our social media apps to our banking apps. What are the biggest data leaks in an average person's day?
So I think by and large, the biggest use case for most people is social media, right?
Mm.
Whether you're using Instagram or TikTok, uh, that's where we use. I mean, that's what we use the most. Another one would be chat apps, like I know in this country, WhatsApp is the king. Then you got some people using Telegram and maybe I don't know Apple's chat and FaceTime. So most of our time goes there. Most of our shares are there, and so
Mm.
if you think about where most of our data is coming from, it's there. Then there's other more discrete ways that they can gather information about us, which is through the albums on our devices. If you've got a device and you opt to create space on your device by backing up your photo album,
Yeah.
where is that information being stored?
Uh-huh.
Basically, your device is sending it to a remote server. So if you've got an Android, for example, and Android says, "Hey, we can free up some space for you. Let us
Yeah.
take these images out of your device." That's stored on
Mhm.
Google's database somewhere. Apple does the
Mm.
same thing. Also, your contact list, right? If you're backing up your contact list, whether it's on WhatsApp or on your phone, it's being backed up onto somebody's uh, server. So all of that information is out there. So we need to be very careful what kind of photos are on our photo galleries, because if that server ever has a leak, then those photos are going public. You understand? So as much
That.
as they'll reassure you that it's all safe, I
Yeah.
don't put much trust in that.
There's no such thing as privacy nowadays. Hey, that's all we have to be aware of is that just be aware. Just be aware what you're putting out there. Be conscious. And people often share on social media and they say, it's just for me. I'm just sharing it. But deep down, is it really for you? Obviously you're looking for some sort of attention. And then ask yourself, is this really information you want to put out there? How important is your privacy? I think when it comes to privacy nowadays, there's this thin line, but a topic for another day, because I'm going to go into so much deeper. And I think you can understand where I'm going with regards to that statement. But quickly, as we wrap up, I would just like to touch on the whole question of public Wi-Fi. Wherever you go, there's public Wi-Fi, free, put in the password, here's it. Talk to us about that. How risky is it to actually use public Wi-Fi or change your phone at a cafe or airport?
So charging a phone is a small matter, right? That's pretty straightforward. That's fine. But using public Wi-Fi, as a personal rule, I never ever use public Wi-Fi ever, because it's very easy for somebody to put out programs that they call sniffers. Now, sniffers are basically devices that can scan public Wi-Fi to see whoever is connected and what are they typing in. So if you log into your bank, for example, and you type in your username and password, somebody with a sniffer device, and a really good sniffer device, can see which bank you're logging in and what are your credentials. Now, you don't want that kind of unpleasantness. So as far as, you go to malls and airports and things that they offer public Wi-Fi, I think you're better off just buying some data bundles and using them on your device. So as a personal rule, I never ever, unless it's absolutely necessary, if I'm traveling, and that too, I'll use it for maybe a WhatsApp message. So if I'm traveling in a foreign country and there's a stopover, then I will use WhatsApp to say to my kids, I just landed. But anything more sensitive than that, where you're sharing passwords, where you're doing banking, just avoid it altogether.
Absolutely. Rather spend that little bit of money, sort of being penny wise, pound foolish, just to save a little bit and have your privacy intact, or you never know. That is scary, somebody being able to see all the bank credentials. Now, it makes sense because we hear of all the scary things that are happening with people's bank accounts and so forth. But we thank you for your time this morning. I do wish we could have chatted more, but we'll definitely have you on for you to educate us and enlighten us so much about what we're using constantly in our lives daily. Even when we go to bed, it's there. So inshallah, we'll chat again. And we thank you for your time. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
And that was Maulana Bilal Katrada. He's an expert in tech.